I'm in Ohrid, in Macedonia. Ohrid is a giant lake, almost the size of Lake Tahoe, on the border of Macedonia and Albania, very close to the border of Greece also. And it's sunset, and it's my last night here, and I thought I would reflect a little bit on this time. We came to Ohrid for a conference that brought together all of the people who are doing the entrepreneurship in residence program that I'm a part of. So about 10 or so of us from different countries. And many of us were speakers at the conference. Some people held workshops, others were mentors for a hackathon that was happening there as well. And we all stayed in the same hotel. And so it was a great opportunity to meet the other people who are doing what I'm doing, hear their stories, sort of trade experiences and funny anecdotes. And I really, really enjoyed it. If there's nothing like waking up with people to get to know them better. And so having breakfast and dinner with the same people. And the conference itself was kind of a mess. It was really, really badly organized, and there was no schedule, and things kept changing, and no one knew what was going on, and it was just sort of silly. But it didn't seem to matter too much, except that all of us are good at what we do and want things to be better, but can't always have it that way because we're in the Balkans, which is sort of our refrain for whenever things go kind of askew. I had an experience though that was pretty affecting, I guess. I'm still thinking about it. We had a meeting of all of these people, and it was public actually, to do kind of a state of the union of this program. How are we doing? How is the startup ecosystem in the Balkans? Is the work that we're doing helpful? What would be more helpful? That kind of thing. And it was moderated by one of the organizers of this program. And it was a pretty great discussion for the first hour, but then towards the second half, it kind of started to lose its way, and a fellow who I hadn't met before, but a fellow started to really talk over the women in a way that was more than just oblivious. And people were telling him hey, you're talking over her, and he kind of just brushed it off and wasn't paying attention and was a little belligerent about it. And I don't know what came over me, but I just got so furious that I stood up at this table and called him out on it. And said that, hey, you're talking over this woman, cut it out. And he stopped, and then the meeting went on for the next hour. And afterwards, I wasn't sure whether I had sort of overreacted or if I was seeing things that weren't really there. But I was gratified to find out I was gratified when just about every woman who passed me after the meeting came over to thank me for what I had done. Because my thought was, as a man, I can stand up and call this out in a way that women, if they were to do it, might get it's easier to help out someone who's not on your team, I guess? No, I'm not saying it right. Basically what I'm trying to say is I used my tall white man privilege to call out something that I saw. And the women in the meeting all thanked me for it, which suggests to me that I wasn't seeing things. What surprised me though was that afterwards this guy came up to me and totally said what I was doing was disrespectful, and that he just he and she, the woman he was talking over, just have a rapport like that I just don't know about. And I'm thinking, yeah, you think that. I found out later, of course, no, they don't. He just thinks that. And he said to me, if you do that again, I'm old-fashioned and ... And I'm shocked and surprised and kind of think it's funny that this guy's threatening me at work. And then he does it again. I'm are you threatening? Anyway, he does it again and he confirms it. I'm you know what? be well, sir. And I walk away, and I see like the organizer of the program, and I go up to him and I say, hey, I thought you'd like to know that like so-and-so just threatened to fight me. You might want to like know about that. He follows me over to my manager, our manager, to then basically mock me for tattling on him, and then tells me as I walk away from yet another encounter with him, like, see you later, buddy. He says, yeah, you go cry in a pillow. And I'm thinking, like, is this like the schoolyard and we're in 5th grade? Like, what is happening? Who are you? And I was surprised at how shaken up I was by this. Like, my leg was shaking a little bit, and I was just like, you know, adrenaline pumped, because I didn't know how serious he was, and I didn't really feel threatened, but I just like didn't know exactly how I felt about what was going on. And I was later disappointed when I found out that despite telling me that they're going to handle it, the organizers of this program hadn't done anything. He was still there the next morning. He was judging a panel of, like, he was on a judging panel for some student presentations at this conference. He was still officially representing this program, which is funded by the Swiss government. Like, I don't know, if it had been an employee of my company, I think I would have found out exactly what had happened from each of us and then made a decision. And if he had indeed done what I saw him do, I think that's grounds for immediate dismissal, or at the very least some sort of like moderation and sort of like, it's time for you to go, because you're not supposed to threaten people at work, to say nothing of the like talking over women thing. But that like can be taught me. I don't know. I was just surprised at how little the organizers of this program seemed to want to do anything about it. And then I felt really kind of out on my own for a while, until I realized that like this is what it means to stand up for something. That like the difficulty that I felt of feeling sort of unsupported, is something that like tons of women and other groups who are harassed at work deal with and don't get any support on. So like put my problems into perspective. And B is like the risk you are taking when you take a stand for something. Because if it were easy and you were guaranteed to get support from the people around you or the people in charge, more people would probably do it. And so after a few days of thinking about it, I've decided that I'm going to wear my like hurt feelings and my disappointment as a badge of honor for doing this small right thing in the name of like just not being a jerk at work. So that happened in Ohrid, Macedonia, and I'll probably never forget it because it was the first time anything like this has really happened to me. And I hear myself saying that and I think, wow, that's pretty fortunate. Because a lot of people by the age of 34 who've been working for this long have had this and much worse happen. Again, my problems in perspective. I'm here with Mom, which is cool because she speaks Macedonian, and so she can talk with our hosts, and she's just like having a really nice time. And it's nice to be around her because for me, this is another stop on my 5-month work travel thing. And so I see it very differently than her, who sees this as a 2-week vacation from her like grinding job at Google. And so it's nice to be around that kind of like vacation energy. And even though we don't do everything together, thankfully we have some boundaries, it's nice to just like have lunch together and talk before bed and then like hear what the other's been up to during the day. It's a special thing, I think, to be able to travel with a parent as adults, just the two of you, and, you know, connect in a way that just hanging out at home or seeing each other at holidays just doesn't do. I'm very pleased to be in a country where the food is fabulous. There's a restaurant here called Caneo. I'm looking at it, and the food was just like, it made me so happy. Just sitting on the water, eating freshly baked warm bread with all of the sort of ex-Yugoslav spreads. There's this one where it's basically like minced garlic with butter, but it's like smooth, like frosting, but it's garlic and delicious and savory, and ivar, which is a roasted pepper spread, and just like, and the wine, apparently Macedonian wine can be amazing. And this lake is just gorgeous. Tito, the former ruler of Yugoslavia, I guess, head of the Communist Party, which means like super duper president, had a like private residence right over there, and our hotel was right next to it, and it's gorgeous here, and it's impossible not to just be relaxed. There are swans in the water, just like swimming around, and they just come and go. People here are in a good mood. It's not a rich country, Macedonia, at all. It's poorer than Serbia, probably not quite as poor as Albania, but people, at least here in the kind of old part of town, feel like they're doing okay. People are friendly, biggest cliche ever when traveling, but generally feel like the season is starting again, the weather's nice, and it's such a beautiful area that it's hard to be in a bad mood for too long, especially when you're sitting by this beautiful lake and like a swan flutters by. It's pretty nice. I feel lucky, very lucky, to be here and to have a few days to recharge before or between this conference that I was at all weekend and this thing that happened, and the week and a half I'm going to spend in Skopje, which is the apparently kind of not relaxing capital of Macedonia. I'm sure I'll have something to report from there, but all that I've heard so far about Skopje is that it's a weird, crazy, packed, hot city. So we'll see. But for now, I'm enjoying myself here, and sort of ready for the next thing. So thanks for listening.